Way too tired, so I just decided to not trade yesterday, and there's just no way I was waking up that early in the morning. All right. So this, I mean, this was the orb. It was just like a late entry. Basically, this was the area I was looking at. And I just wanted to make sure I was well outside of the previous day close. So you can see it came down here, but I was further out. So I wanted to make sure if there was going to be a bounce off the previous day close and it goes back up, I didn't want to get involved in that. So as we can see, I'm now 18-3 with the orb. Just calling it the orb now. Since the new rule, you can't do the Alpine style orb anymore. So the funny thing about Apex is even when they initiate these new rules to try to supposedly, quote unquote, clarify what the rules are, there's still ambiguous gray area all over the rules. So, okay, so you can't put, according to their rules, you can't put limit orders on top and bottom, and whichever get triggered first, you're in the trade, and that's against the rule. Okay. There's other ways to do the trade, still do the trade without doing it that way. So, cool, Apex. Thanks for the new rule that is very specific. So I won't do that. So I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not going to take the opening trade on the PA for a little while and just see what starts happening. Monitor it in the Discords and see if people are getting denied for payouts, what the reasons are. And then I'll decide how I want to start dealing with it. But in the meantime, I'll just obviously still trade it on the evaluations because it's a guaranteed trade every single day. Doesn't always work, but it works. Right now for me on my Apex accounts, it works 86% of the time. And due to my back testing, I have reason to believe it works at a much greater rate than that even. So that's how I'll handle that one. Their stop loss rule doesn't really affect me. I always use a stop loss. It's always on the chart. So, obviously, it goes without saying that all these rules are the Alpine rules. Apex has initiated the Alpine rules for their entire prop firm, which I think is somewhat hilarious. And, man, the power they've just given to Alpine. They've said that he cracked their code and they got to make rules for him. I don't know why they didn't just contact him on the side and say, hey, you're on YouTube and you're exposing us, and can you just chill out? Maybe not show what you're showing or talk about what you're talking, but do what you want to do because you're still trading within our rules. But they decided, since they don't apparently have any kind of direct relationship with him, they decided that the Alpine rules needed to be in effect for all of us, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I've always just traded by their rules anyway. So if they're going to change the rules, then I'll just modify anything I have to modify to trade by their rules. So that's what I'll do on the opening trade. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think there's ways for me to take the opening trade and still abide by their rules. I'm just going to, like I said, give it a little bit of time and just see in the next payout window or two, what kind of denials start coming out before I start using that trade on the PA, since I've got one PA right now. And what else was I going to say? The stop loss, I use a stop loss. Now, they gave an example of a 3-to-1 stop loss, but it's just an example, right? I didn't see anywhere where the rule said it has to be 3 or 1 or better. So I'm going to try to maintain a 3-to-1, but you know, if it is more than 3-to-1, well, we'll have to see if I get denied for that. I've never gotten a payout yet, so I first have to even qualify for a payout, right? And other than that, I don't think anything else really. I don't think anything affects me. Oh, DCA. I mean, it came out from Daryl himself messaging. I got a screenshot of it. You can add to a position even when it's going against you. Like you can do it like once while you're in the trade. So if on average you're only doing it once while in the trade, then it's not a problem. And they just don't want you to do more contracts than the original number of contracts you entered the trade in. So, okay, I've only been adding one contract. So if they say I can't add more, you know, you can only add as many as you did originally. Well, if I add 4 times, because I was in the trade originally for 4 contracts and I add one here and then one there and then one here and one there, I'll just argue, well, Daryl said that I can add one more time for 4 contracts. So what's the difference if I add one more time for 4 contracts or add 4 more times for 1 contract? It's the same number of contracts. So I'll do that if I have to. So I think that covers my thoughts on the new Apex Alpine rules. I just think it's absurd that they had to make rules for basically one guy. I mean, it's true too, though. I mean, it's also rules for Patrick Wheeland. It's rules for trades by Matt. It's rules for volatility. So there's like a handful of YouTubers they clearly were targeting with their new rules. So I still have a feeling or belief that Apex is still going to treat the rules like a gray area, because that's what they've always done. That's been their history. And so I think they're trying to tighten down and scare people to not do these things, because Alpine clearly cracked their code. It's funny, they've had people get payouts before the Alpine stuff was going on and before these other guys for over $1 million. So I'm not sure why it's these guys that they're now targeting the rules towards, but it's fine. They're the ones that get to set the rules, and we just have to play by them. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. All right, I'm gonna change accounts to my PA to trade that. So, but as you can see here, this was my first trade. And you know, would this even be considered the opening trade? You know, what time is this candle when I entered? 6:35. So is 5 minutes the opening trade, or does it have to be at 6:30 or 6:31? You know, it's such a gray area, right? So this is at 6:35. To me, that's not the open anymore. Yeah. So who knows? It's hard to decipher the meaning of a lot of their rules, because they leave loopholes in gray area, and then it like what they write is like terribly written. Like it says one thing in one sentence and a different thing in another sentence. So you kind of have to just like try to trade by the spirit of the rules, but then you know, if you don't believe you're breaking the rule and you can explain it, then, you know, they'll have to respond to that and say what the rule is. So that's what I would say is everyone just obviously make sure you record your trades. I would, if you're not recording your trades now, I would definitely start recording your trades. And yeah, all right, let me turn off my screen for a second. Change my account. I'll go to my PA account to trade. All right. So I'll be trading my PA account, not using the copier. I'm going to have to stop trading at about 8 o'clock. So in about 40 minutes. It's going to be up to me to get my daughter up and ready for school and take her to school today. So at 8, I'm going to be taking a break for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and see if the market can be traded at that time. I'm looking for a short, potentially if it's below the previous day, whatever that is, high or low. See where this candle closes. My GameStop play has been interesting. I doubled my money overnight, and I didn't, of course, close it and take my doubled money or take off my profit or anything. And then for anyone that's been following, GameStop has dropped significantly since then. So I basically just DCA'd my position in GameStop this morning. So we'll see what happens with that. of my charts is no longer good. For anyone that knows or doesn't know, what I do is I look for tick charts where my where second entries are consistently working for my profit target, and those are the charts I trade. I'm also trading on the 1 minute chart. So maybe if I get first entry, second entry off this level, I might consider this. See how this candle closes. It was right at the open and the previous day close, so good level of resistance for second entry. As long as it closes below. Don't like that. I guess I'll just take this loss if it comes up here. Kind of surprised by this one. Give it a little bit more room. Put it to the previous peak, because that's one of my rules. Because my entry bar got engulfed. This doesn't look like it's going to work out. Let's see. I might. If this comes down, I might want to add a contract. It's not a good. That's not a good look for my trade here. All right. Doesn't look like it's going to work out for me. I added 3 more contracts. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to only add 1 more. Oh well. That was a mistake. Getting tagged here. I forgot to change this to, I meant to have it on 1 contract down here. See if I get lucky. No. Maybe. Nope. I really did not mean to add 4 here. It was a mistake. Well, maybe I will get lucky. Maybe it's just teasing me. Yeah, just teasing me. There we go. All right. That wasn't the plan. Very low drawdown left on that account. It's good as dead. Bummer. But you know what? It fit my strategy. It was off the level I wanted it off of, and there was room. So just the way it goes. All right, I'll look and see what your comment is, Raymond, in 1 second. Just update my stats here. That trade turned into a way bigger trade than I was intending for it to. I was meaning to add 1 contract over here, not 4. I had the wrong setting on. All right. Yeah, I mean, really, I should have probably been looking at it like it's a range, right? So if it's a range, I'm trading it in the middle. Probably not the best. But it did fit my strategy. So what can you do? It's just one of those situations. The biggest problem with the trade for me was just that I added 4 contracts instead of 1 contract here. That was really something I didn't mean or intend to do. So Raymond says, hello, I have a couple PAs at Apex and 1 at Earn to Trade. I only trade micros on them and focus on passing more PAs. I find it less pressure overall, just my 2 cents, especially with the crappy price action last few weeks. All news and algo driven. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But that's not the way I trade. I trade minis, and I don't mind trading minis. I just I have to know that when I'm putting in an order, I have to know how many contracts I'm doing. So this one was what I intended to do, the order quantity 1, but by accident, when I had it on this, which was order quantity 4. So I wanted to add 1 time, see if I can survive it. And if I lost, I would have lost, but I wouldn't have lost as much as I just did. So that's on me. That is just on me. So what I'm going to do, since that just went down that way, is I'm going to switch to evaluation 42 as my leader. Or not 42, 41. And I'm going to copy the 10. 10 is going to take 1 contract because there's no drawdown. Shit. $300. Yeah, I effectively just killed that PA. Been there, blown lots like that. Markets are just news driven now. There's a Fed speaker at 10:15. You may have missed that. Every time they talk up the market. Yeah, I see it. All good, Raymond. I appreciate your comments. So what I'm going to do, let me switch off my screen real quick. I'm going to switch accounts to have, what did I say, 41 be the leader. So the idea is when I'm trading my first entry on the 1 minute chart, I'll trade it off of, this chart I have to put away because this was a tick chart. And that tick chart's not good anymore. There's another tick chart I have here that's not good anymore either. This one. Put these 2 aside. So I basically got 1 tick chart left and the 1 minute chart. So Yeah, look here on the 1 minute chart. It wasn't even a second entry. I took that. On the tick chart it was. Where is it? This one. So that was also the first losing second entry on this tick chart size. So yeah, I actually don't feel too bad about this. This is a trade. I like this setup for my strategy, and it just didn't work out this time. The only thing I don't like about what I did is obviously messing up when I added contracts. That I was only supposed to add one contract there, and then it would have been a much smaller loss where I finally took my loss. All right. Let me make sure all of my charts are on the correct account now. This is why it's always been easier for me as a sim leader, so I don't have to change it on my various tick charts, but I've been having some little issues with my copy trader off the sim leader, so I haven't been liking the trade that way lately. But this is the reality of trading. People lose. And this is why I don't know why they're so concerned about the rules, because, you know, just means more fees for them without paying me out. All right, so my next goal will be to obviously pass these two evaluations I have. And I still haven't bought any new ones off the 90%. I was figuring I'd wait till Monday. I'm not going to bother with the 250K account. I can't even qualify for a payout on a 50K, so I've got no business trading at 250K. The rules are funny because, okay, so I guess I technically, did I break the rule or not when I took this trade? I moved my stop. I added a contract. Actually, I added 4 contracts, so I broke the rule because you're only supposed to be able to add as many as you entered originally. But what if it was a mistake? Right? Because I didn't mean to have it on that setting when I was adding a contract. So I meant to add 1 contract and I added 4. So if I had turned out and won that trade and I had a video showing, well, that was a mistake, you know, what are they going to do? Are they going to deny me the payout? That's why the rule's stupid. Also, are they going to give me my money back because I broke the rule? And so if I'm breaking the rule, it should just like kick back the order, right? It shouldn't even let me add that many. Like how many prop firms have you traded on where if you add more contracts than they allow for your account size, they liquidate your account? So why isn't the rule like that then? It just doesn't let me. Or don't liquidate the account, but just don't let the order go through, if that's the rule. So it's stupid. All right, so let's see, I'm looking at the 1 minute chart here. And let's see. All right, so I've got 2 tick charts that I'll play with, and the 1 minute chart. Again, I gotta stop trading in about 20 minutes, and I'll have to stop until about 9:15. All right. So when there, it's just on the 1 minute chart, which I seem to be doing pretty well here. This was just an expectation of a retest of a high. And caused me a little bit concerned that this bar actually closed where it did when I entered, like equal level there. But the way I saw it was a first entry and then it's dipped down, so it was a bad signal bar by a second entry there. It didn't fill me on the PA account. It should have had one contract on the PA account. All right, well, I don't know why it didn't copy to the BA account, but that BA account is basically dead anyway. So this was trade 3. And UV 41. So 4.25 points, 17 ticks. All right, update my stats here. Oops. 7. All right, so I like that trade. I actually really like the way I'm trading on the 1 minute chart. You know, I had an expectation for a retest of the high. Just putting my order right before it. And you can see there was a little bit of resistance there, even if it goes on and moves higher. You know, there's reason to maybe expect a retest of the highs here. But regardless, like I like this trade. So I don't know, if I keep finding comfort with the 1 minute chart, then maybe I'll just trade the 1 minute chart. I know I'm 80% with the tick charts. All right, so my goal is to just pass these evaluations faster. My goal was not to blow up my PA today, but unforced error. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to have to stop soon too, so be right back. All right, so it looks like my trade and my decision here were good. Now level here. Okay, it sounds like my daughter's waking up, so it's gonna be time for me to take a break. Go get her up and ready for school. And I gotta take her to school and then I'll be back. So, real quick, I'm just gonna turn off my screen here, change the account to Sim so there's no mistakes. All right. So yeah, unfortunately, I gotta stop trading for a little while here. Let me see. I'm gonna be back about. Yeah. I'll be back at about 12:15 Eastern. An hour and 15 minutes. All right, so just to quickly, so EV40 took a late open trade, 6:35 in the morning. Got the win there for 670, and then evaluation 41 on trade 3 here, won for 17.6 there. And unfortunately, my only loss too was on the PA, and I made a mistake adding too many contracts when I added a contract. And you can see if I only added one contract, I would have been fine if I kept moving my stop. So, or if I just accepted my stop, then I would have had a much lesser loss. But accidentally added 4 contracts instead of 1, so that did me in right there. Account's still alive, but it's got 300 drawdown, so there's not a whole lot of hope for that account. All right, so I gotta go get my daughter up, get her ready for school, and take her to school, and I'll be back after all of that. So usually I'm back by 12:15 Eastern. I'm just gonna leave my stream running. Let me make sure it's on Sim. Yep. All right. I think that does it. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, I'm back. Let's see here. So yeah, so I basically practically blew the PA. I'm just going to work on the, I mean, this PA basically doesn't matter anymore. It's within 300, basically, or almost 400 of the trailing drawdown. So I'm just going to work on passing. For anyone that didn't see earlier, it was on this chart. I took this engulfing and it really came really close to my profit target actually. 45.50 I was in and the low is 43.75. So, well, not as close as I thought, maybe 45.50. No, it only went 7 ticks, so not quite. And then I made a mistake adding a contract. Thought I was adding 1 contract. Turned out I added 4. My settings were wrong. And that was that. So I'm not feeling too affected by it, which is good though. And quite frankly, I mean, I feel like I've been trading really good on my 1-minute charts. You know, I got a trade here on the 1 minute. I also traded after the open here. So unfortunately 2 wins today, but the 1 loss was on the PA. So it's a bummer, but it is what it is. I've got 1 chart remaining on my BS system on the tick charts. And see if I can find another. But I almost am starting to feel like I should just be trading the 1-minute chart anyway. I feel like I'm trading pretty well on the 1-minute chart. I gotta turn this off for a second just to change. Actually, I'll just do it on sim leader and do 41. Oh, I think I just missed a trade I would have taken. It's kind of right into that level. All right, I'm just getting my bearings. I don't want to jump into a trade before I'm really ready. So if this is on the sim leader, just reconfiguring some things here. All right. I don't know if you're here right now. I don't know. This is the first time I'm looking at the comments. So if you just commented, you're back. Yeah, I'm back. I missed Wednesday and Thursday. And then I was just gone for about an hour and 15 minutes, getting my daughter to school, up and to school. So I'm back. Unfortunately, I'm back with a loss on the PA, a big loss. just trying to get my bearings of what's going on in the market. Just gonna see if there's any other tick charts I can trade off of. It's just been another, I mean, I wasn't here the last 2 days, but it's been another slow week for the BS system, and then took a loss on it today. I don't see any other charts at the moment. I'm sort of kind of feeling better about my trading on the 1 minute anyway, so maybe that's just the thing to do. If I'm going to trade on the 1 minute, let me turn off my screen again real quick. What am I going to do? Trade 41. See if it can get down there. It's got to get through previous day low. Where are we at on the daily? All the way up here. I would think it'd be a failed breakout after the new all-time high. What are we doing here? On the tick chart, it's a second entry. Right into the EMA though, so I didn't want to take that. It's funny, I still liked my trade from earlier. Plenty of room to the EMA. EMA was kind of looking pretty flat at the time I took the trade. Right off the open price and the previous day close is resistance. It had like all the qualities I liked about it. Still hadn't reached a new low. I guess the only tip off might have been like try to make a new low once, twice, 3 times and couldn't do it. So maybe that was the sign of like, hey, this is really more like a range. Right, so it's kind of the right idea here. Hi, Alma. How are you? I am back. How's it going? I know I missed a whole lot of stuff going on in the prop world, futures world. It just turned into on Wednesday. Turned into doing a little day trip with the family, and we were back Wednesday night. But we got back so late that it was just Thursday was just impossible. There's no way I was getting up for the market on Thursday. So just slept in. Well, slept in best I could, and well, I did. I slept in, and then I had to take care of my daughter because she didn't want to go to school that day. So yeah, I know I missed a lot of drama. I talked about it a little bit at the start of my stream today, but yeah, it's just Apex changing the rules, and I know all about it. I was aware of it as it was happening, but it was almost like it was nice that I wasn't here to like have to think about it all at the time it was happening. Big picture wise, I don't think it's really going to affect me. I've always used a stop. They say the example they gave is to use a 3-to-1 stop. My stops tend to be bigger than that. But I think I can argue if they ever flag me, if I ever were to get to a payout. I'm now, again, the furthest I've been away from a payout in a long time because I've basically just destroyed this account today. So that account is likely not going to survive. Yeah, everyone is crying, Alma says. I know. Ironic enough, the only one not crying is Alpine. And you can essentially just call Apex's new rules the Alpine rules for the most part. I'd say the rules are largely designed to counteract Alpine. And then, also to a certain degree, trades by Matt and velocity, and probably, I guess, Patrick. I'd say those are kind of what the rules are geared towards. TBM is in denial. He's like, no changes for me. That's what Alma says. I haven't watched Trades by Matt at all since the whole thing happened. I heard, or someone mentioned they were talking about him, and they said that he just said that he was going to use stops now, and it's not going to affect him. I mean, we'll see it. I know he uses mental stops, but then there's a message from Daryl on Discord saying mental stops are okay as long as you, as long as when they look at your wins versus losses, that you're kind of around the average of a 3-to-1 risk reward. So, I think Trades by Matt probably fits in that range. He doesn't take big losses. He doesn't do what I did today on my PA, from what I've seen. Alpine rules. Who invented that? Yeah. The funny thing is, it's ironic again. I mean, Alpine putting it all out there, and continuing to put it out there when his channel was obviously blowing up. He went from 10,000 to 17,000 to 18, almost 19,000. It took him years to get to 10,000. It took him 3 to 4 months to get to, another 7 or 8,000 on top of that. So, he probably could have done himself a favor and decided, you know what, like, this is getting out of control. I need to protect my edge, but he didn't protect his edge. And, I was probably like a week or two in advance of like the great migration to the orb. I think I started it, and then within a week or two, it was like Kellyanne showed up on the scene, with her clickbait, and and it was just kind of like everywhere. Like, other YouTubers started doing it between Methodical Man and Rat Lords guy and me, and yeah. So it was just like, I got no viewership. I'm very small. Everybody else is bigger than me, so I don't think I have any. It didn't matter that I was doing it. Nobody cares that I'm doing it, and I've got no payouts, so nobody cares. But I still think I'll be able to take the orb. I'm just, the funny thing about Apex and these rules that they made, Amma says, "Are you making changes?" Not really. Well, first of all, I've got no payouts, so the only change I need to make is figuring out how to get a payout. Right? I know how to pass the evaluations. I'm working on passing them quicker now, so I've got 3 days traded on these two accounts, and I'm within about $1,000, so I'm 2/3 of the way there. So that's more like it. I was taking a month to 2 months, sometimes 3 months to pass an evaluation. So now to be kind of trying to attempt to do it quicker, but I know I can pass them. It's not, passing them is not like a huge problem for me. So now it's just whatever it is, a mental hurdle or whatever it is, trying to actually get to a payout. So that's the change I need to make. It's just getting payouts. But I don't really think I have to make big changes. I was trading the orb on my PA account. The only thing I need to do, well, talk about the rules. The rules leave a lot of gray area. It says, me too, lost 2 XFAs, but got 200 payout from them. Oh, well, that's good. At least you got the payout, so that helps. I'm sorry you lost them, but at least you got something out of them. I've now basically burned 10 PAs with no, nothing having been gained from it. You have 1 XFA left. Well, good. So you're still in the game. I don't even consider myself in the game anymore after today's loss. Today I made a stupid mistake because I was, talk about, am I going to change anything? I tried to add a contract when it went against me, and I made a mistake. I added 4 contracts instead of 1. I had the wrong setting on my ATM. So that's really what burned me today on my loss. Because otherwise my loss would have been like half of the loss I took. So I took a trade on my BS system here, and it went, I forget what I said, 7 or 8 ticks in my favor. And then, it fit all my rules. It was right off the opening price and the previous day close. I liked the trade. But probably wasn't considering that we were in a larger range overall. Maybe the larger range is actually here. That's what it's looking like. But so we just came off the bottom. There was a triple test off the bottom, so I kind of overlooked that, I guess. But otherwise, I like the trade. It fit all my rules. There's no reason to skip the trade, so I took it. And the only thing I did is I moved my stop. Originally, I moved my stop to the previous high here because it was going against me. And then when I saw it still look strong, I raised it up to here. And then I added a contract kind of on this candle. But I thought I was adding 1 contract, and it turned out I added 4. So that blew me up. Well, it didn't blow me up. I still took the loss above this candle. So if I had only added 1 contract instead of the 4, this loss wouldn't have been so bad. It still would have been a bad loss, but I would have had plenty more drawdown. Amma says, oh yeah, I got confused with accounts too. Yeah, just too many contracts. Okay, I've got no more tick charts left that I can trade. So really, I'm on the 1 minute chart at this point. You're short right now. Yeah, I had this measure move lined up, so that's kind of my target as well. Didn't see any setups I liked. Kind of right when I first got back, I kind of like this for a short, but I wasn't ready to do anything yet. And actually, I'm going to turn off now that I have no tick charts left, I'm just absolutely not going to be trading off of the tick charts. I'm just going to go ahead Oh, maybe I already did this. Yeah, I did. Okay. I'm just going to trade directly on my Apex account without the copier. So I'm just going to be looking to trade with 4 contracts. Getting back to what your question was, am I going to change anything? The only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to try to be closer to the 3 to 1 example that they gave for the stops. Even though I didn't do that today on my PA account. If I add contracts, they said you can add contracts when it goes against you as long as it's just like one time. So I'm going to take that to mean if I'm in the trade for 4 contracts and I add a contract and it's just one single contract, I'm going to take it that it means that I can add up to 4 contracts, because that was the example that was given. Was if you're in a trade, you can't what they refer to as DCA, which the term doesn't make sense, but you can't DCA for more contracts than your original play is basically what they've said. So if I decide to get in for an extra contract, I'm going to do it one at a time. And if it takes me up to 4 times, then I'll do it up to 4 times if I'm in the original trade for 4 contracts. That's how I look at it. It says, wow, are you ditching tick charts? Why the sudden move? No, I'm not ditching tick charts. Just today, all of my tick charts have at least one entry that I've taken a loss, including the one that I actually played today. So this is a normal thing for me, that when I don't have any more tick charts that have no losses, then I stop trading tick charts. But it's a new thing that I'm trading off the 1 minute chart now. So that's the only difference, is I'm now willing to trade off the 1 minute. So instead of like saying, okay, I'm done for the day, which is what I used to do at this time, 9:45, I'd be done. If I ran out of tick chart by 12:30 Eastern, then I'd say I'm done for the day. But now, since I'll trade on the 1 minute, I'll give myself up to 1:30 Eastern to trade on the 1 minute. And then I'm done. 10:30 my time, which is 1:30 Eastern, is my hard no more trading, hard out. Not gonna go around that rule anymore. So I'm done with my BS tick charts by 12:30, no matter what, whether I still have them or not. And then I'll have an additional hour to trade the 1 minute mark, or the 1 minute chart, if I see anything I like. And then my plan is on Monday to take advantage of the, oh wow, look at that. So new low and pushing. I mean, this is kind of what I'm expecting, because to me, I'm expecting the failed breakout there. On the daily chart. BS sounds funny. I know. It means that, for like literally, in a way. I just referred to it as my BS system because it was my brother's system that I kind of inherited, or kind of took things from what he was doing, and we trade it differently. He trades without it more than I do, but so I refer to it as the BS system, just as like brother system. But it's also BS because it's like just a funny concept of looking for second entries on a tick chart and trading the tick charts where every second entry works for my profit target. And so it's kind of like a BS concept in a way, if you think about it. It's kind of like gamifying the charts and saying like, okay, I'm looking for charts that have winning streaks and just trading it that way. So That's kind of the thought behind it. And that is why I refer to it as a BS system. Like it's kind of a double entendre in a way. I'm trying to think what other, the orb, so let's talk about the Apex rules, because it's funny that they say they're cracking down. Let's talk about what they've said they're doing. They're cracking down on the rules. They've been lenient in the past, but they say the rules have always been the rules. They say that these are not new rules. They're just clarifying the rules. But in clarifying the rules, they've still left a whole lot of gray areas, which is what their rules have always been, is like a lot of gray areas. And I think that they've never had a true compliance department. Alma says it's impossible to make money now as a question. I don't think it's impossible to make money. Well, for me, maybe it's impossible to make money because I haven't done it yet. I don't think it's impossible to make money. I don't even think the rules are that big of a deal, honestly. Like at first it was kind of shocking, seeing what it all said. But then when you really break it down, what they're saying is they've always had these rules, but they were lenient with their rules and they didn't enforce all their rules. I personally believe they didn't enforce the rules because they didn't really have the infrastructure to enforce the rules. The only infrastructure they had was accounts would get flagged if you were over 30%. And accounts would get flagged if you flipped contracts for more than 2 days. I think that was about as much of their automatic compliance as they had in place in their infrastructure. And then if for those two reasons you got flagged, then somebody would actually look at it and look further at the trades and see if you qualify. So they're saying that they've now clarified their rules and that the rules are basically all the same rules that they always had, and they're just going to enforce them more. So that in and of itself, I think is fine. The only thing that I saw that looked like an actual new rule was the stop loss rule. I don't recall ever seeing it in any of my contracts that were previously out or in the frequently asked question. I don't recall them ever saying specifically that there had to be a stop on the chart. I just do not remember ever seeing that. And I've read all the contracts that I've signed when I got PA accounts. And I read all the disclaimers that they have when you're buying an evaluation. I've never seen anything about stop loss before. So to me, that's the one new rule, whether they want to admit to that or not. Definitely, they've never said that your trades can only be a 3-to-1 risk to reward ever. But that was just an example. So it's a gray area. Like they didn't say that's the rule. They gave it as an example. So I don't think it's a hard rule that you have to have a 3-1 risk to reward or better. I think it's an example of like having a stop and having a reasonable risk where you're not blowing the account on a single trade, right? So like technically speaking, like this account, let's say I brought this all the way back and qualified for a payout, which is nearly impossible. But let's say I did that, but I had this $2,000 loss today. Are they going to look at it and say, oh, we're not going to pay you out because that one loss is bigger than 3-to-1 on your wins? I'm going to argue that they're not going to deny me a payout if I manage to bring back this account, because that would be really silly, wouldn't it? That obviously my risk management would be incredible at that point if I was able to bring an account back that has less than 400 in drawdown and bring it all the way back to a payout. I would say and argue that I should be rewarded for my risk management, that I was able to avoid getting the account blown up. So that's one thing. The rest of the rules, and if you think about really, so that rule is an Alpine rule. It's literally an Alpine rule. Alpine doesn't use stops. He gamified their accounts, rightly so, because that's the way it should be. And they caught on, and a lot of people are catching on, and so they're trying to stunt the growth of the Alpine philosophy. So, I know Trades by Matt didn't trade with stops either, but Trades by Matt isn't the one that, caused the flurry. It was Alpine. We all know it was Alpine. So, even though Trades by Matt is killing it. The orb, obviously, that's Alpine. And what did they say about the orb? They said you can't put a limit order bracket on both sides and play the open. They said you can pick a side and play the open. And then the only other thing along with that is that you can't have your stop at risking the account. They would like a more reasonable risk to reward on that trade as well. So the example is 3-1, but if you do 4-1 or 5-1 or whatever it is, if you win and you're not blowing up the account and you're not playing both sides, then you can take that trade. It's just like for every new rule or every clarification of every rule that they've made, you can still do exactly what you were doing before because there's so much gray area. And we'll see. We'll see if they start denying payouts for reasons that they hadn't been denying payouts previously. And that's the only thing at this point. Now, I don't have to change anything because now I've blown up basically this account. So I got to get a PA back before it even matters because you could still do anything you want on evaluations. So, but overall, I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. I actually don't. I think they're trying to scare everybody and trying to make everybody trade a little bit more conservatively. And I don't really think much is going to change. That's just my opinion. And then we'll see. Obviously, if people are getting denied like a lot more than they used to, then everybody's going to know that and see that because it gets all over social media. Between all the Discords, between the YouTubes, between Facebook, Twitter, everything, everybody's going to know what's going on. So if they, you're fine. If your risk reward is 4-1, you're going to be fine. I'm quite certain of it. They just gave 3-1 as an example. They didn't say 3-1 is the rule. They didn't say the maximum allowed is 3-1. I don't think I could do 3-1 either. 3-1 is retarded. 3-1 is ridiculous because on NQ, if you're going for 15 ticks, which by the way, Apex is still all for scalping, they say. So if you're going for 15 ticks, that means 45 ticks. 45 ticks on NQ is nothing. 45 ticks on NQ is like the average bar. Look at right now. The ATR right now on the 1 minute chart is a 46 tick ATR. So you're talking about one single bar is 3-1 on a 15 tick trade for your profit. So they're saying that you can't trade more than one bar away. It just doesn't make sense. I don't think that they're going to really enforce it that way. So, what are the other new rules? It's like, okay, the orb, you can't play both sides. That's basically the rule there. And you can't risk your whole account on the orb. But if you risk your whole account and you don't blow up your account, then what's the problem? If you blow up your account, well, what's the problem? Because they want you to blow up your account and they want you to buy new accounts. So, no OCO. That's fine. That's fine. You don't even have to do an OCO. Quite frankly, you could just buy the bid. You can sell the ask. You don't even have to put your order out pre-trade. Amma says, I'm actually mad about that. At first I was kind of like, it's just dumb. Really, it's just dumb because it's a strategy. They talk so much about doing a strategy. It is a strategy, but okay. that's fine. No OCO. Oh, Alma says I also use it on bull flags, but you can literally just buy the bid or sell the ask, or whatever side it's closest to, you just play that side. And if that side doesn't trigger, then you play the other side. You take it off and put on the other one. You could do that on any of those trades. So you just have to be a little quick about it, but or you could get in, like I said, you can buy the bid or sell the ask, and a lot of times you'll get in anyway that way as well. So I don't really care about the OCO. I mean, it's a bummer because I only just kind of discovered it not that long ago, but it's fine. And the stop is fine. I've always used a stop. And I mean, what else is there? Those are the rules, right? I can't think of what else they've supposedly added, but everything else has been the rule anyway. I really believe that. So, what I think is just hilarious is like, they literally should have just said it for what it was, which was like, hey, these are the Alpine rules. All the things that Alpine has been doing on YouTube, we don't like, and we don't want you to do it too. And I even think that they should have just reached, they know who Alpine is. They know how to reach him. They have his email. They know his YouTube. They obviously know who he is. They could have just reached out to him on the side and been like, hey, you're just blowing all this stuff up too much. Can you just chill out, or like not do all this, or not talk about all this on your YouTube? They could have done that. Or they could do what they did, which was say, okay, we're aware of Alpine and we're concerned that everybody else is going to do what he's doing. So they're basically saying, Alpine, you cracked our code. Alma says, I even bought an indicator for the OCO, the Trade Devil's chart trader. It was $3.99. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you did that. But you use Top Step X, right? I didn't even think that Trade Devils has anything that can be used on that. Does Trade Devils have a Top Step X indicator? Anyway, yeah, that's definitely a bummer if you spent $400 on an indicator to do OCO. What platform are you? I assume that's still Top Step X. Oh, you bought a 90% account on Apex? What platform are you trading on Apex? Because then now maybe I understand. Are you trading on Ninja? Because just one. Are you trading on Ninja? Because on Ninja you can do OCO without buying an indicator. Yeah, you didn't need that indicator, unfortunately. OCO you can do. You can do it on Ninja. You just right click and choose OCO without anything outside of Ninja. Just that's how it works. So that's a bummer. Sorry that you spent $400 on that. Either way, I mean, it's a bummer that they don't let you do the OCO. I guess they know from the logs if they are going to question it. But I even think that maybe they don't. Like, do they really have someone that's going to be checking the logs, or do they have the infrastructure and like a algorithm to check the logs and see if you had two orders placed at the same time, at a specific time? I don't know. Or are they going to do the thing where they're going to be like, we think you're doing this, so we want you to record your trades moving forward for the next 3 days and show us that you're doing this trade without doing OCO. That's what I think is going to happen. I think for people trading the open, they're going to get a we're denying your payout until you show us that you're doing that open trade without using OCO. And then if you can show that, then they'll have to approve it because they said that you're not breaking a rule. But then if you're doing the open and you have a really large stop loss, then they're going to say, oh, well, you're not doing the OCO, but you're doing a way bigger stop loss, or you're risking the whole account, or whatever it is. And so we're going to deny you based on that. So like either way, it's kind of like they're just giving themselves a lot more outs to deny payouts. That's kind of where it goes. Amma says, Top Step is still my big hope. They have the right to tap into your PC via Zoom. Also, OCO orders are tagged in the code, so it's easy for a computer to check. Yeah, I figure it probably is. It's in the logs. But they have to have like a script that can run, that can check thousands of accounts. So we know that they haven't had that in place up to now. Do they really have that now, or are they fronting like they have that? And really what they're going to do is just ask you to show recordings of your trades, which they put in the contract that they have a right to ask you to do that. And for the next 2 or 3 days, and show us how you're doing these trades that you say you're not breaking the rules. And so then they'll watch your recording apparently. And how long is that going to take for them to watch how many recordings that are being sent in, right? How many people do they have? How long is this process going to take? And then you're left open to the myriad number of ways they can deny your trade, because maybe they're looking to see if you're doing an OCO order, and then they say, okay, well, you didn't do the OCO, but you did, a big stop, and we don't like that stop. You were only going for 22 ticks, and your stop was 100 ticks, and so that's 5-1. That's too big. We're not going to pay you. Yeah, it's just games. If anything, if you ask me, Apex has moved towards MFF. My funded futures was kind of pulling all this kind of stuff with their clients already. Like, oh yeah, well, we have the easiest payouts and this and that and the other thing. And then when it's time for a payout, they're like digging through every little minutia of every trade, looking for reasons to not pay somebody. And so Apex has just moved in that direction, which is a bummer, because Apex has always been the prop firm that was like, hey, look, we make it the easiest to get payouts. We have the least intrusive rules, and as long as you follow the rules that we have, then you'll get your payout. And their whole thing was just don't abuse the rules. And unfortunately, they look at it like Alpine abused the rules, and he made it wide known, and a lot of people are trying to emulate it, myself included. And so now they're going to shift and bring themselves closer to being like a My Funded Futures prop firm. That's what they're doing. They've pulled out the rug. Amma says, sounds scary. Amma says, Daryl can close shop at any second, I think. I mean, I know there's always like all this speculation about whether they can continue to afford to do the payouts, whether they're solvent enough. I mean, when you do the math, they're just making so much money. It's really hard to think that they're in any sort of trouble whatsoever. The only way I can imagine them being in trouble is if somebody is siphoning off money out of the company and not leaving it in the company to be able to do these payouts. So if someone is paying themselves an exorbitant amount of money and taking it out of the company, maybe it can leave them at, in a danger zone at some point. But if they're running their operation straightforward, then it's just really hard to imagine that they're ever going to be in any kind of financial situation. Alma says, I mean, how can you call Alpine to a live account? You can only get one live account, and his edge works with 20 accounts. Well, first of all, why would they offer Alpine a live account when he blows up so many accounts? He's got what, 140 PAs or more that he's been through. So I don't think that they can offer him a live account anyway. I don't know why they would. That was the design of Alpine's whole play, was to never be called up to a live. Hold on one second. I'm going to get a drink real quick. It says, "Oh my God, 140 PAs." Yeah, he's up there. I think if I remember, he was in the 150s or something now. I don't remember exactly, and it's been a couple days since I've watched him. He's. It says, "I only got up to 3 XFAs and around 10 combines." That's good. I mean, you're at the very beginning of your excuse me. You're at the beginning of your futures career, so it's good. You're going slowly and you're kind of treating it in a responsible way, which is good. Which is what I've done for the bulk of my Apex career, and it's only just recently where I've started to go through accounts a little bit quicker. So maybe what they're doing is a good thing, because in some sense, maybe it'll keep me under control. I mean, this is going to be the first time where I've blown an account in the first month out of all of my 10 PAs. Every single PA I had, I never blew it in the first month before. So that's why I was doing lifetime fees. So this is the first time where I'm messing that up. But no, I think that's what Apex is trying to avoid, is, everyone doing what Alpine's doing, going through 150 accounts, but getting the kind of payouts he's getting. It gamified the whole idea of the prop firm, which, I mean, the reality is the nature of prop firms gamifies it, period. It's just the reality. So, they kind of want to have it both ways, prop firms. And this is, kind of, in my opinion, I think my funded futures kind of set this new standard that now Apex is shifting towards. And honestly, I think it's going to be a disadvantage to Apex, because they're going to turn a lot of people off to their platform. But there's still a lot of things that are good about Apex to keep most of their customer base, I think. So, there's no one that's reputable that does 20 accounts. There's some new ones out there, but does anybody know if they're actually going to get payouts? I don't think anyone knows that yet from those companies. So, I don't know. We just have to see how it goes. I think the next couple months will be telling. Obviously, when people are getting denied, it's going to be all over the place. It's going to be in the Discords. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be in Facebook. It's going to be on Twitter. People are going to be reporting back and saying, "Hey, look at this. I got denied for this and that reason." And they want to. Apex wants to say, "Oh well, when you sign our contracts, it's essentially an NDA." But if I go on YouTube and I'm not revealing my name and I'm not revealing my account number, then nobody knows who I am. Right? So if somebody records what's going on, record your trades, and you get denied, and you want to make a YouTube channel and say, "Hey, Apex denied me. Here's the information," but they have no way of verifying who you are, then it's going to get out there. It says, "Well, we're in payout week. Let's see." Yeah, exactly. This is the payout window right now. So You know, I tend to think that they're going to let people slide by on this one just because people are already trading the bulk of their trades before this payout window. So I think they'll probably be a little bit more lenient on this window, and then let's see what happens at the beginning of next month. In the meantime, I had my GameStop position, and that was from weird. That was from Monday morning when I caught wind of what was going on with GameStop. I bought 30 shares, you know, small position, Monday morning, and then Monday afternoon there was a dip, and I bought a call, and then overnight I doubled my money. And then of course I did the classic dumb money thing, right? So I didn't sell, take my profit, and like look for another way to get back in. And so then you know, the rest of the week GameStop has been going down, and so today I just basically doubled my position. I bought 30 more shares of GameStop at like basically the low of today, as of the last time I checked. Yeah, it's basically the low of today. It's still kind of right there. So I got 60 shares of GameStop now, and I bought another call too. So I basically DCA'd my position on GameStop. And you know, if you can't DCA in one place, you DCA somewhere else. So that's what I've got going on in that position. So I'm down in my position, but I reduced how far down I am by DCAing. So we'll see what happens. I really wish my actual game plan with GameStop was that I was gonna take my profit right away, but I was surprised that I doubled my money the next morning at market open, and it had made the high during the overnight trading, and so I really thought it was gonna retest the high during the regular market, and it never did. And so then it's just been a pullback ever since. And I was really thinking that, okay, if it didn't happen on Tuesday, I thought Wednesday there would be another really good push. And there was a push, but it again was during the overnight, and during the regular market, there was never a push as high as I thought there would be. So I really thought that I was going to be in and out of that trade by Wednesday, and then look for a new entry. And so I just kind of had to change my game plan a little bit, because I still believe in that it's going to go up. And I was expecting a pullback. I thought I'd be able to get in and out and then get back in like I did today. But I never got out, so I got back in. The one thing I did do actually was I sold my call on Wednesday while I was on my trip with my family. I sold my call. It was going down that day, and so I took like a $400 profit on the call, even though I was up like way more the day before, on Tuesday morning. And so I took $400 profit, and then at the end of the day on Wednesday, I bought a different call back, and basically just put the same money into it. The same money as original minus the 400. So I did pocket 400 in all of this. But then I bought the 30 more shares today, and I bought an additional call now. So now I've got two contracts for calls, and 60 shares. Let's see. Ama says, so going back to Apex, you said, do you think Daryl is thinking I'm going to lose a lot of money? I have no idea. It's funny though. Daryl has so much money. It's hard to imagine him worrying about losing money. Maybe sales will drop by 50%. I really don't think it's going to drop by 50%. That's why they did the sale when they did the timing of the 90% sale was just a distraction from the rules, right? Like nobody was even talking about the rules until like people started to like get that pop-up when they signed into the Apex account, or when they had a PA that was ready to request a payout. And then they started seeing these new rules and the disclaimer and you have to check and sign it or whatever it is. And then people are like, wait, what? So people are like already buying the 90% and getting the 250K account before they even realized what the rule thing was. It's such a distraction that, and the only reason they did the sale was because of the rules. Like, let's be real, right? They did the sale because they knew they were going to piss off everybody, or, you know, upset a lot of people. And so they did the sale to be like, get them to forget about it, right? Or like still be like, have enough incentive to still buy anyway, you know? So they know what they're doing. I don't think sales are going to drop. You know, so the only reason sales are going to drop by 50% is because they just reduced the price of the accounts by 50%, going from 80% to 90%. So in that sense, yeah, sales will drop by 50% in terms of how much they're making per account. Alma said, good job on that GameStop. It wasn't, oh, it could have been a really good job if I had just bought and sold everything, like I said, on that Tuesday morning. AMC paid all of their COVID debt from their recent pump. Yeah, well, and that's a little bit of disturbing news to me this morning, was seeing that GameStop actually did the same play where they released more shares today, which is obviously on a really simple, you know, putting out on the table in the most simple way. Releasing more shares is not the best thing when you're trying to create a short squeeze necessarily, but from what I've been reading, it's pretty small additional float, and in the big scheme of things, hopefully it shouldn't put a damper on what's happening too much. Amma says them CEOs have an easy job. Reddit is doing all the work. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation. I mean, I'm not going to claim to be smart enough to understand it all, but if there's a little bit of a next wave to ride, I'm pretty well positioned to make some decent money if there's a second wave. So that's all I'm hoping for, is a second wave, and then you know, be a little bit smarter on an opportunity to get out with a profit. Really just not seeing any setups. I'm watching the wrong chart, I just realized. This is the 1 minute chart. I was watching a tick chart. Still don't think I see any setups. So yeah, GameStop thing is interesting. I mean, at this point, my position's a little bit bigger than I originally planned, but I'm also in a pretty good positioning for a second wave if and when it happens. Alma says it's dumping, but no setup for me. Technically, I need to wait until 2 p.m. All right, because you're ICT. I remember that. Well, I'm going to be calling it here soon if I don't see something I like. I will be. When does this sale end? I never even paid much attention because I hadn't been here. Let me see. Promotion. So 90% off is until May 20. So that's Monday. their 250K, I know they extended that promotion until the end of the month. So I don't care about the 250K because I can't even prove to myself that I can get a payout on a 50K yet. So I'm not going to waste my time with that. So what I'm going to do on Monday is I'm going to buy some more accounts at the 90% off. I haven't decided how many I'm going to buy, but I will. And I essentially have no PAs, even though I still have one. But the goal will be to pass these maybe Monday or Tuesday, and then have more evals in the wings. And then all of these other accounts will start renewing at some point relatively soon. And yeah, Amma says 250K is too much pressure. Well, it's just, first of all, to pass, you need 15K. And then I think the payout is 6,500, if I remember correctly. I'm struggling to get 2,600. So, yeah, you can have 27 contracts, but you know what? If you're trading big contracts, you don't have a whole lot more drawdown in comparison. So you really can't trade, even 10 contracts with, what's the drawdown, like 6,500? Even 10 contracts can go real fast. Because the drawdown, the ratio is not as good as the 50K. So it's just, yeah, I agree. It's just too much pressure to make too much. It's having to go too big, too fast. And I got no business with that account right now. So I'm going to stick with the 50s and just continue to. Alma says, oh, that reminds me about Vala. He was crying today. He was crying today? He was just whining. Oh, he lost his accounts. Didn't he only have 1 or 2 PA accounts? Again, I haven't watched him at all the last couple of days. I thought he only had like 2 accounts. Well, I think volatility is essentially one of the people that's going to get hurt the most by the new rules, because he was completely dependent on the orb and the OCO and risking the account. So Amma says he keeps losing them one by one. Yeah, I mean, I think, I think the reality is it's pretty clear that Alpine showed him the orb and was like, hey, you should be doing this, because he was blowing up all of his accounts any other way he was trying to trade, and it wasn't working for him. He's losing a lot of money. And so he started doing the orb, and he started having some success, and he finally got some payouts. But his payouts were completely 100% based on the orb trade. And that's why for a little while there, apparently he was only streaming for the orb trade, and then he was leaving. So he'd like get on, stream, do the orb, and then he would hang out for 15 minutes or whatever it was, and then he'd be done for the day. And only in the last, week, I think only this week, I think his streams got longer, right? So I don't know if that's only because of the rule change. The rule change wasn't announced till, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday, right? So I don't know. I kind of missed what happened with him in terms of what's been going on with him since then. Alma says maybe that's why he doesn't have a lot of followers. Yeah, I mean, I think he's been pretty transparent that when he was trying to trade other setups, it wasn't working for him. And so that's why he decided he was just going to only stream the orb and be done for the day. And he was happy with that because he was getting payouts and he was achieving his goals with the one trade. And I mean, it's literally the reason why Alpine talked to him about that trade, and it's just, the whole thing's kind of ironic, if you think about it. Like, okay, so Alpine cracked the code of Apex. He started getting a ton of payouts. he started telling people, hey, if you do this, you can get payouts too. And that circle of people got bigger and bigger. Vola was kind of the starting ripple of the pebble hitting the water and the current spreading out and the ripples spreading out. And so he started doing it because nothing else was working for him. He started making money. Meanwhile, Alpine started making more and more money and having more and more success. Then people started catching on, watching his YouTube. His channel grew, got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And because of Alpine, how big it got, and because he kept telling people, anybody that would watch him, more people started doing it. And now they're trying to ban it, essentially, or at least ban the way it was being done, without banning it outright. And now the people that are going to suffer the most from it are Alpine and Volatility. And Volatility, was basically shown it. I mean, he knows of it because of Alpine. Alpine's the one that convinced him to try it. And, from my understanding, I mean, not to get into all their business, but my understanding is that Alpine even bought him the evaluation that that he first started trying it on. But then Volatility goes on and streams it, whereas Alpine wasn't actually streaming it. Volatility goes on and actually streams the trade. So he starts to gain viewership, and then Apex reacts and tries to take the trade away. So it's just kind of this big circle. It's kind of ironic. So Amma says maybe that's why he doesn't have a lot of followers. He can't trade. Trades by Matt doesn't really have a strategy either. He's doing all these 10-point hacks, testing the wick. Yeah, but he seems to have a feel. I mean, I don't watch him a lot, but he seems to have a feel for price action. And I think he just, he's kind of like a discretionary trader and trades his read on the price action, and it works for him, So I actually think Matt strikes me as a good trader because he's not rigid. It's not like he doesn't depend on the black and white system, and he's still having a lot of success. And so he's doing something that works. And he would just use mental stops before. Now he has to place a stop on his chart, apparently. I don't think it's going to change anything he's really doing. And he's always been scalping. So I don't think 3-1 or 4-1 is going to be too much of a issue for him. And I think testing the wick works. I mean, that's kind of like what I did on my trade earlier. This trade. I took it on the 1-minute chart, and we had this strong push up, and I was expecting a retest of the wicks on this candle. And, I liked that we had a bounce off the EMA, and to me, it was kind of a second entry with a really bad signal bar. And I took it above this bar for a retest of the top of this. And I literally placed my profit to be just under it. So I kind of, I guess, sort of did a similar idea in a way. But again, this was still a second entry for me. It just wasn't following the price action trading system rules that Mac teaches on his platform. But for me, it was all about retesting the high here. And so I liked that trade. The only thing I didn't like about this trade was it made me a little nervous when this candle that I entered on didn't close above this white line that I drew. I wanted it to close up here, but I felt pretty reasonably confident in the trade regardless. Alma says, you're right. It's like experience, intuition trading. Trades by Matt has been trading for over 12 years. I hope to get that edge sooner than later. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's sort of ironic. So my first trade was essentially the orb, but it was after the fact. I took the trade 5 minutes after the open, based on my experience with that so far. And then this trade was just based on my read, right? It was just price action read and expecting a retest. And then my loss was on my, on my BS system. Where's the chart? This one. So it's ironic that the loss I got today was on my strategy that I've been working on for the first 5 months of the year, and having an 80% success rate. But my win is on something that I've been doing just very recently and don't have a ton of experience trading on the 1 minute chart, but still was able to get a win there. But yeah, I feel the same way. I'm hoping that I'm putting it all together. So, it's just unfortunate that the loss on the PA today was what it was. The trade that I took really was designed that my loss, the biggest my loss should have been was like 1,000 or 1,100, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I made a mistake on the way I added. I forgot to change this. It was on NQ add 4 contracts, and I meant to have it on NQ add 1 contract, because it would have still been a loss, but it would have been a loss with only 4 total contracts instead of with 7. So that's what happened there. All right. I think I'm going to have to be done. It's 10:30. That was going to be my rule, is no more trading after 1:30 Eastern. And it's because I generally just never do well after this point. So I'm going to call it here. It was a good day, except for the PA account, obviously. But I don't feel bad about it again. It was just the way it occurred. It actually occurred. I didn't break any of my rules for the trade. It fit my rules. It fit the reason to take the trade. And it just didn't work. And sometimes it's going to happen. And if I apply more kind of price action reasoning, there may be subjective reasons to skip it. But in terms of the fact that trade is supposed to be a black and white system that I've been using, it was right at a key level. The previous day close and the opening price bouncing right off of it is exactly where I'm supposed to take the trade. So it is what it is, and it's actually the reason why I don't feel any sort of way about it. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that I messed up my order on adding a contract. And so you can see as an example that that wasn't going to stop me from adding a contract when it went against me, even though they have a DCA rule. But they say you can DCA one time for up to the same amount of contracts that you had on the original entry. So I technically broke the rule. And my question to Apex would be, well, what if you made a mistake? Because I did not intend to add 4 contracts. I intended to add 1 contract. So to me, they might as well just be like those other prop firms where if the rule is you can't enter on more than 4 contracts, if you enter for 4 contracts on the original position, then they should make it so that the order can't even be accepted for more than 4 contracts. They should figure that out. If they have this great infrastructure, because they always say they're in it to try to protect the traders, and that's just not true. But regardless, a whole another tangent about that. Anyway, so the size of the loss was my own fault, and I can accept it. It was just a user error, and it is what it is. The trade itself was a trade that I would take 10 out of 10 times. I don't feel bad about that. I usually try to avoid losses going into the weekend, and this one just I don't feel anything about it. I just feel like, all right, the trade was bad, and then I messed up. I made a user error, and that happens. I'm only human. So It's disappointing that I did not get a single payout out of my first 10 PAs, even though this account's not blown yet. I'm sure it won't be long until it is. But I'll just do what I did on that one what was it? No, that one PA I had before. I had a PA that was within less than 200 of the drawdown, and I built it all the way back up to the starting balance. That was on a 25K account. But if I can do it that time, maybe I can do it again. We'll have to see. All right, so the 90% discount is going on till Monday. What did it say? Did it say Monday end of trading session, or what is it? Let me see. Where is it? 90% off. Not because it was 170 million payout. It was because of the new rules. Let's make that clear. It's not what they said in their thing. 90% off until midnight on Monday. Midnight Eastern on Monday. You can get 90% off till then. You could use my code or any other code. I appreciate it if you use mine, but if you have someone else's you want to use, I say just make sure you use a code so that you get the best discount being offered at the time, 90% till midnight Monday. And we'll see what happens with Apex. I mean, right now, to me, they're still the leader in the space until a point in which we see that this rules thing is becoming, a distraction to trading and making it, if what it ends up doing is causing delays to payouts greater than the delays they've already had, and making it so that people are not getting qualified for payouts when they really should be, based on the whole culture of Apex as it's been for its entire history, which is to be the ones that are like, hey, we made our rules easier so that you can get payouts. And they've planted their stake on the fact that we're the place you can get the most payouts from. If they've changed their culture now to be something other than that, and they're going to pick apart every little minute detail about your trades and find reasons to deny you, then maybe their leadership in the space will change. Hopefully that's not what this is leading towards. Hopefully this is just like them putting up like a caution flag on the racetrack and saying, hey, we're paying more attention, be careful. But then they're still going to approve most people the way they always have, then it's not going to be an issue. But if they're going to really start doing what they, it's really like, it's like when your kid is being bad and kind of bending the rules, and you're like, hey, I'm going to take away your TV privileges. I'm going to take away your PlayStation, whatever it is. Unless you start following the rules, it's really a threat. And right now, that's kind of how I'm treating it. It's like, it's a threat. Let's see what they do with it. I don't see there's any reason to stop using them at this point, but let's see where they go with this, and if it becomes a thing where it just is completely inhibitive to getting payouts for most people, then maybe I'll be done with Apex too. We'll have to see. All right. Other than that, I will be live streaming usual time, 7 a.m. West Coast, which is 10 Eastern. And, unfortunately, Mondays I always have to take my daughter to school, so it'll be similar to today. Usually, though, on Mondays, my wife gets her ready at least for school, and then I just take her so I can trade a little bit later, and then I'm back in a shorter amount of time. And so today was a pretty extended time away from trading. And what else? 2-on-1 for today, 67%. The loss was pretty much unavoidable. For the week, 7-2, 78%. So I'm basically right where my win rate has been. And 225 wins and 53 losses for the year. So, another less than 25 trades away from having 300 trades for the year. So, I'm still doing a good job in terms of volume of trades. And honestly, I think just circumstances, timing of where my losses have been. Ironic that the bulk of my PA accounts recently have been lost on the orb trade. So maybe they're just doing me a favor by changing the rule, because I wouldn't, right now, if I wasn't trading the orb trade, I would still have 3 or 4 other PAs. So that's ironic in itself. Even though I have a good winning percentage, 18-3, I lost 2 PAs on one of those 3 losses, and then 1 PA on each of the other 2 losses. So maybe they're doing me a favor by trying to eliminate that trade. And other than that, I don't know. I think if I do continue trading in and around the open, maybe I will start streaming at that time, because I certainly want to have it recorded. If I take the trade on the PA account, I've been recording them anyway. But now, like, the cat's out of the bag, and you can't do the OCO thing anyway. And so maybe I'll just trade it the way I'm going to trade it. And I'll trade it according to their rules that they've laid out, and it'll be recorded. And what are they going to say if I'm following their rules, right? So maybe I'll consider starting my stream at slightly before the New York Open. I'll consider that. If that's the case, I'll probably start around 6:20, 6:25 in the morning, which is 9:20, 9:25. I'll think about it over the weekend, and then I'll schedule whatever I decide to do, so that you'll know. I'll do that Sunday. So, all right, I think I've said it all. And Amma says, yeah, that would be awesome. Cool. All right, so I appreciate you joining me again, Amma. I appreciate the comments. Appreciate everyone that's liked and subscribed. If you haven't already, I appreciate if you do. And thank you to those that have, there's very few of you, but to those that have used my code, I really appreciate it, and thank you. I'm still struggling trying to get my first payout. So I'm into Apex for, what is it, close to 2,500, something like that at this point, and climbing. So even those one at a time accounts being purchased with my code, it's like a little something that helps, and I appreciate it. So thank you. And all right, hope everyone has a good weekend. Hope you had a good trading week. Sorry I missed the last couple of days and all the excitement, but obviously there's plenty of other sources for all of that talk between YouTube and social media and Discords and everything. So be back at it on Monday. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amma. Have a good week.